Hey, Steve, welcome to the show. Can you introduce yourself to everybody again?
Hi, yes, I'm Steve Broadbent. I'm the Regional Director for Enystex, who supplies products to the professional pest management market. And I'm basically working through Africa, the Middle East, Asia, and of course, Australia and New Zealand here.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, Steve, we had a long chat earlier about COVID. We've, kept each other updated of the companies and the businesses and how they have been developing. How did you experience it in the very first time, and how is the business now? How is it going? How is it developing, and what do you expect?
Well, COVID has certainly brought fresh challenges and perhaps fresh opportunities. And it's been very varied throughout the region that we're dealing with. As a generalization, as a company, over the 4 or 5 months of COVID, we've actually seen in comparison to the prior year, we've largely seen increases, except in countries which have been particularly devastated, such as the Philippines or Indonesia. But a lot of it's been through changing markets. It's been through government subsidies in the case of Australia, where we, for example, in Australia, we're very big in the pre-construction termite market, where people have our Trithor system goes into their home before the home's built. And we saw builders advance the market, so we saw quite a large surge in sales as projects were built forward to get them in the ground before the economy got worse. Since then, we've seen government subsidies. There was certainly, when things first hit, the builders lost a lot of sales. So we're going to see, we know October, November, maybe December, we're going to see a decline in markets, but then we're expecting them to pick up again. But a lot of it's depending upon government subsidies and how the market's going. So we're in a very artificial situation, particularly here in Australia, where the government is paying wage subsidies. They're going to decline over time. And so there is a likelihood of further bankruptcies, further economic recession. So it's very difficult to predict where we're going to go. And I think one thing's clear. I don't see Australia's borders and international travel coming back until we get a vaccine.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah,
but we've seen also a switch in markets in Europe, for example, with our business in Europe, which has also survived quite strongly. In South Africa, we've seen quite a switch towards the use of our disinfectant products or our air purification systems. Yeah. In Southeast Asia, coinciding with the problems with COVID, we've also seen increases in dengue. So our sales of mosquito products, particularly into government health programs, such as, for example, Hong Kong, and our business in Hong Kong has actually doubled, but largely because of the unique technology we have in the mosquito market.
So what do you think about the thesis that pest control is such a stable, such a solid business? Everybody is currently seeing probably more or less the same turnover as in the last year. So everybody is, knock on wood and fingers crossed, pest control is going to stay stable. But what do you think is likely to happen with what you just said and teaser, what could happen in Q3 and 4 with bankruptcies and further recession?
Yeah, the pest control industry, it's an essential industry, and we've worked very hard in Australia, and I've personally worked very closely with the AAPMA, which is our national association, at my level really just providing them with material and writing releases. They've gone out and really done tremendous legwork, the executive, Vasily and Stephen Were, in working with governments. And I could best help by working with them, to keep this emphasis on pest control as being an essential industry, which it has been recognized. Yeah. Even right now in Victoria, where we have a total lockdown, pest control is still exempted because it is. We must never forget this. At times we can be embarrassed about pest control, but we are an essential industry. We protect people's health. We protect people's properties. termites can destroy a home, and cockroaches, rodents, we all know, can spread diseases. So yes, we have that protection, but obviously we're still dependent upon the economy. We've certainly found here that, restaurants and bars, some of them stopped doing this. When they had to close, they stopped having their pest services. But what they found was the pests very quickly came back. And so even while they were closed, they had to start opening up to the pest controllers. But the pest controllers, of course, have had to be very, very flexible. And the ones that have been most successful are those ones who've shown flexibility. They've adapted their pricing modeling. They've offered either more services for the same price or reduced the service frequencies. And they've supported it by hygiene services. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a model that's going to be an ongoing future for pest controllers, is providing disinfection services alongside pest services. One of the big focuses we had here in Australia, and I was on the panel that wrote our code of best practice for disinfection, and we linked that with, well, if we're doing disinfection services, how do we link that with the application of the pest control component in the programs? Yeah. And that was a key discussion point when we developed that standard, which is now available on the AECMA website if anybody would like to look at it. So it's a best practice for those things. Yeah. Other than that, the industry is, there's going to be challenging times for a while until global economies start to pick up again, and we've got to learn to do business in a different way.
Probably, and also not yet mentioning the remoteness of our work. Also for you, I think it could not get more remote when everybody has a quick look in your backyard. I think you are probably top-notch remote, and I think not only economics are going to be very difficult, but also the way we work, as you said, combining concepts with each other, disinfectant and pest control, upselling, cross-selling, or even remote work and remote governance or management like you do with your team. So
yeah, well, I've got to say, I've never done so many video conference calls as I have been in the last few months, and I think that's been the other key thing. I learned this from Alan Walker, the operations manager with Flick Anti-Cemex here, our largest pest control company. He was able to learn from the experiences that they'd had in Europe, because COVID hit Europe before it hit Australia. And one of the key things he stressed was the importance of communication. And I picked up on that, and we've employed that within our company, both in terms of the communication internally within our company. We now have weekly calls with our office team, weekly calls with our sales team, so that everybody is supported. And in turn, our salespeople are communicating regularly with their clients just to offer that support and give them ideas of what others are doing, and let everybody know that they're not alone.
I think a lot of things are changing, but humans aren't. Communication is always the key thing with broader success and evolution. So fingers crossed that's gonna, we're gonna keep that up.
Yes.
Cool. Steve, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thanks. Cheers, Daniel.